I studied Afghanistan in great detail and from every conceivable angle. After many meetings over many months, we held our final meeting last Friday at Camp David with my cabinet and generals to complete our strategy.
Well, that was President Trump last night as he unveiled his new Afghanistan strategy. The speech was very different in tone from what we have seen in general from the president. He was very focused on the decision-making process here, and it received quite a bit of praise. We were watching it last night from Washington ourselves, but there were those who took it all in and saw it quite differently. Watch.
Let's start about what this speech was light on, again, by design, light on specifics.
We heard from the president tonight an argument with his old self. If he's trying to do this for political effect, and it doesn't seem to be driven by circumstances on the ground, the political effect here is kaleidoscopic.
This was the president taking one of the gravest things that a president can do, which is order troops into battle or oversee a war, and essentially use it as a cloak for changing the political discussion in the United States.
So speeches like this will always be suspect as devices for changing the subject.
Yeah, I have no doubt, Lawrence, they sped this up to try to change the subject.
So how do those critiques weigh on the military, on the families who face the reality of this at home? Joining me now is retired Brigadier General Anthony Tata. General, thank you very much for being here. When you hear that, and you are so closely involved with the families and your own family who put their lives on the line, what's your reaction to those
Martha,
people?
My reaction is that everybody that you just played missed the entire first 5 minutes of his speech, where he talked about the honorable military that is serving overseas and securing our liberties, and how they are cut from the same cloth as this nation, and they come together as one to accomplish a mission, which is the hardest thing that a country can do. And he held them up as an example for the nation to follow. And I thought that was brilliant, a brilliant way to lead into his speech, because every one of the people that just spoke missed that point, that it's a time of unity in the nation. And he's been talking about Afghanistan for months now. Charlottesville or no Charlottesville, he would have led off with the same speech, with the same honor to the troops in Afghanistan, Iraq, Syria, etc. So for me, I was proud to hear that he's honoring the soldiers, sailors, airmen, and Marines, asking the nation to do their citizens' duty, to come together when we face threats from North Korea, Iraq, ISIS, etc., Al-Qaeda. So for me, it was a very good message and a good way to start.
I mean, there's obviously a lot of cynicism in those comments, but I think any president, and this president is no exception, they understand the weight of these decisions. And he talked about speaking with several Afghanistan veterans, people who fought there, and getting their thoughts on whether or not this is a war that is winnable in his sense. And I want to get your thoughts on this. He said, this is from the speech, he said, from now on, victory will have a clear definition. Attacking our enemies, obliterating ISIS, crushing Al-Qaeda, preventing the Taliban from taking over the country, and stopping mass terror attacks against Americans before they emerge. That's a pretty heavy list.
So what he's talking about is the military doctrinal definition of defeat, breaking the enemy's will to fight. And so that is a definition of victory, defeating the enemy. And we have not really talked about that. This is the antithesis of the Obama strategy, where everything was a timeline. The day, if you recall, the day he announced the surge, or President Obama did, he announced the timeline when they were coming out. So
the Taliban lays low and they wait until that timeline is over, and then they come back. The president's made it very clear that's not the way he's going to approach it.
Martha, when I was deputy commander on the ground there in Afghanistan, I had governors and mayors and commanders from Afghanistan talking to me saying, your timeline, the Taliban is just across the river sharpening their knife waiting for you to leave. And so this event-driven piece is really a good thing. And I think he also saw loosening the rules of engagement in Syria and Iraq has accelerated the defeat of ISIS and sending them to safe haven in Libya. I think he feels he can apply that same model to Afghanistan, loosening the rules of engagement. You heard a little bit about that last night with the law enforcement piece and going after the narco-terrorists and the criminal efforts there, and that's the new combatants now that are very important to add to the combatant list.
General, we're glad that you come on the program, and we're going to need you as we go forward looking at this fight. So thank you very much.
Thank
Good to
you.
have you here tonight, General Anthony Tata.